Sprint 1 Design. From being excited about the program to extensive research about how WebRTC work, what is PLJS and why is Node.js the best suit for me, I landed on my first prototype that connected only two people with a simple text chat feature, which was followed by a warm welcome session by mentor Tushar and Gulbir sir on how to design an application and how to make the code more modular. After all the research, here's the tech stack I fixated on. Then I entered Sprint 2 Build. In the spirit of agile development, my build week started with requirement specification and I was able to formulate these functional and non-functional requirements. Thereafter, we had our second mentor session where I learned about architecture and interface design, and after all the groundwork, I was pretty confident to implement all these functionalities. Then I entered Sprint 3 Adopt. This week was the biggest challenge for me and it involved a lot of anxiety and definitely research. And here's how I decided to go about it. First, build the video call on top of a chat room. Second, use unique UUID to achieve this. Third, possess the chat with MongoDB and keep track of users' recent room. Then I entered Sprint 4 Deploy and Test, where I deployed my project on Heroku and performed manual and stress testing along with a few UI fixes. And here's how the final application turned out to be. When you first visit this URL, you will be redirected to the landing page of the application where you can find the features, services, the timeline of my journey, and a contact page for the users to submit their feedback. On the top right corner, you will see a login with Google button where you'll be redirected to a Google sign-in page where you can select your ID. And on going back, we can see that we have access to our dashboard, and on the dashboard we can see the four main functionality of the application, which is first, create a meeting. So whenever I create a meeting and click on create room, I'll get a unique room ID which I can share with my friends to ask them to join this meeting. We can also join another meeting that we have already created and the recent rooms that we have visited. One such room is test room 2, and on visiting this room we can see that the test chat have been persisted here. We can send messages here as well. So this text chat will be persisted after, before and during the meeting, and I'm clicking join meeting. We can see that the chat have been persisted here. And we are connected to 3 people here, and more than 3 people can also be connected to this meeting. We can mute and unmute ourselves. We can stop and switch on our video again, and we can also screen share. So when a user share their screen, we can double click on the window and zoom in the screen share video. We can go back to the chat room and leave meeting and go back to the dashboard. So if I go back to the chat room, we can see that the chat has been persisted even after the meeting. If we go back to the dashboard, we can see the second functionality of the application, which is join a room by using a room ID. If I join a room that has already been created before or is being shared with me and I click on submit button, I'll be redirected to the chat room. And then we come to the third functionality of the application, which is scheduling a meeting. If I schedule a meeting, for example, on first at this date and time, and I can invite people using comma separated email addresses, and if I click on submit button, it will show that the meeting has been scheduled, and on checking our email we can see that a meeting has been scheduled, and also we can see that on 1st August a meeting has already been scheduled. If I click on the submit button again, we can see that another meeting exists at that date and time. Then we come to the fourth feature of the application, which is a AI posture bot. This is for keeping your health in check, and it basically notifies the user whenever they are sitting in a bad posture or they are too close to the screen. So if I get too close to the screen, I'll get a notification to get away from the screen and please sit correctly. This was implemented using PostNet TensorFlow.js. So this was my application. Thank you.